Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I did say I would create a little bit of video contact that I'm happy for you to share with everyone and to kind of walk you through things. For ease of this, I have done a little pre-searches on things, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through the handout that I'm going to be sharing with everyone. So I indeed did use AI to help me come up with this, and it does a lot of like questions and prompting. So in particular, one of the things I said is like, "Hey, let's getting started with AI, specifically with the principle behind like some couture sewing, and how I can incorporate it into my workflow." And with that, it talked about some prompting, like beginner friendly kind of aspects. So, what are prompts that we can use as far as researching, planning our projects and capsules? What it's helpful for as far as visualization, color, silhouette, all of those kind of good things. And this was the resources that it kind of suggested. So, using ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity were the three that were in there as far as text based helpers. And then AI visual helpers, talking about using DALI, which is an image generator piece, but that is housed within ChatGPT. And then Canva has some kind of aspects for putting together mood boards. So those are those aspects, and then it started to give me some kind of prompts, and these I'm gonna walk us through these. So I'm gonna share with you. So prompt on couture construction, a pattern prompt, a wardrobe prompt, um, some visual inspiration, and then a little bit of checklists, smart ways to using AI. I will say, for my personal opinion, that AI is just another tool in the toolbox to help us with things. It is not the end all be all. AI does make mistakes. It has things that are called hallucinations. So if you're asking it to give me the steps of, say, maybe how to make a welt pocket, in fact, I can ask that. It's just pulling data. It's predictive, but it can indeed tell you some misstepped kind of aspects. So this is the handout that I'm going to be sharing or with everyone. And now I'm going to kind of walk you through some of these aspects of AI or where to get started. So I personally am using something called Cherry Studio that houses all of my AI tools in one space. Most importantly, I am using in my home area at the university. I have a ChatGPT 5 account, which is kind of behind a paywall. And I did ask it one question in particular, I think, as far as to see how it differed from the Perplexity, the Claude, and the ChatGPT are all free versions of the AI usage. My ChatGPT 5 is, of course, the university's, excuse me, is paying for that. So I will say that with each of these, you're probably going to notice that things look differently in the sense that it will save all of your chats. And I clearly have not done as much as a deeper dive into Claude and Perplexity. Although I will say, Jenny, I'm really enjoying the Perplexity aspects because I've discovered that it's citing its sources and telling you and giving you links to go through things, which is we'll shortly see that Claude is not doing that, nor does ChatGPT, and you can see that clearly I have a longer list of pieces. But going back to our handout that I had talked about, that first aspect, not exploring, but the first prompt that was given is I'm an experienced home sewist. So let's find what that question is and see the three different responses. So, fashion illustration, I was playing with a little bit of Couture jacket. Here we go. Princess theme, direction, and some illustration. So one of my first prompts that I asked it to do is I asked here you can see the prompt. I'm an experienced home sewist interested in couture methods. Explain step by step how to construct a Chanel style collarless jacket using couture techniques. And I asked it to include suggested fabrics and underlines, key hand techniques, order of construction, and pressing and fitting notes. So here is going to be the step-by-step guideline that ChatGPT is giving me. So it's traditionally outerwear. It's telling me it's the wool boucle, tweed. It's giving me underlying suggestions of silk organza, maybe a lightweight flannel. It's also talking about stability, longevity, lining, possibly silk charmeuse. Here's are some various examples. Additional interior elements. It's bias cut strips. So it is walking through silhouette notes, collarless. It's slightly boxy, waist length or hip high. So the things that I'm seeing in a chat GPT is it's going to be a step-by-step aspect. Stabilizing key areas, assembling the body, sleeves, talking about quilting and lining, front lines, necks, neck lining, hem and chainway trim applications, and giving me couture aspects, or so I can do a chain stitch or fell stitching, pat stitching. But one of the things, like, as someone who's experienced in tailoring, if I'm looking at my underlining, I'm looking at the line, pattern preparation, under constructions, transfer all marks, underline base, underlying. One of the things that I don't know if this system knows, hand finished precisely, is the fact that, like, if I'm adding, welt pocket into something, the order of process that, it's just giving a step by step in the sense that it's predictive. If I'm going to Claude, asking the same question, but know that here my chats are here. So they're kind of saved in this one just looks different. Beginning a custom, constructing a Chanel style suit, sorry. Here is, I tried to ask the same prompt in 3 different services to see, what is the outcome that comes from that. So here we are same kind of notions, fabric and fashion fabric. It's giving me less of a point system and more of a little bit of a narrative, interfacing lining. So here though, what's nice is making your muslin first, cutting underlining, and we can see that establishing the front edge and roll line, which is interesting because a roll line on a collarless piece. I mean, so it's making some assumptions, but not all Chanel jackets are going to have. I mean, yes, the front edge, but it may not have a roll line. Constructing, setting pockets. So it's giving me, I feel like this system is understanding that process a little better. Quilted lining, pressing notes, fitting notes. And then lastly, with perplexity, here, one of the nice things I see in perplexity is it's actually giving me various YouTube tutorials. So it's giving me that visual support to work within that aspect. So I as far as taking a research dive or a deeper dive, I would say that this is going to be a winner for me. And I believe I did ask the same question here, in doing a little bit of a side-by-side comparison of now the standard ChatGPT piece versus now behind this paywall. Is it worth to pay the difference? And here we're getting the silhouette and details. So there is some overlap, but there isn't, like, I can see how this one just has a little bit more robust aspect is as far as breaking the steps down a little bit more thoroughly than that of the free wall. It I can see just more step by step kind of pieces, breaking things down um, into those aspects and giving a little bit of draft, finalizing pattern, cutting shell, stabilizing. So, that becomes a question. I didn't ask all of it. This was the only one that I asked just to see what the differences would be. Um, where this is giving me timeline and is paying attention to the couture notion a little bit more than this one's giving me more order of operation. So even the same search engine is slightly different. One of the next questions that I asked was specifically, I want to sew a garment, and I believe I talked about sewing a princess seamed garment. So my next piece, and here I want to sew a princess seamed garment using a commercial pattern to be worn for a spring lunch. Suggest stabilized fabrics, lining and underlining, any changes to it. In this version, I wanted to show you with ChatGPT, because it's a learning model, it gave me 2 responses, and I did not prefer a response or another, to show you that you may actually get various responses that are different, that you can help to shape it. Where in Claude, asking this same question of, not projects, sorry, chats, I'm asking this same question. Claude is giving me just those suggestions. So you can see that the formatting is kind of staying the same, giving me some couture construction upgrades. So hand pad stitching to princess seams is giving me an idea, giving me an embellishment idea of possibly using princess seams. Itself creates a natural lines to its work. Any embellishment placed along or near the seam will allow for intentionality rather than decoration. So, it's the idea of possibly doing cut work. So for me, getting some of these inspirations, like what can I do some differently, or I have a project that I'm thinking about, what are some image or ideas with that? And then next, giving me perplexity and that same question, asking through, this is paying attention to the texture and weight in regards to the question of summer collection. Perplexity is giving me an idea of this 1960s simplicity, 1752 pattern. So it's actually showing me an visual image, as well as giving me resources. It's giving me articles from Threads magazine to look at. So I would say, if you're gonna, I personally, if I were to decide to go and take a slightly deeper dive, I'm really impressed with the things that I'm seeing coming out from Perplexity, in the sense that it's giving me a little bit more of a follow-up for me to go through and follow up. And then my last question was to help me plan a 10 or 12 piece capsule wardrobe I can sew over the next year. My lifestyle, and I said I'm a college professor. Climate, I live in Georgia, where it's often hot and humid. Body type and style preferences, just 5'9", 265 male, with some weight in my midsection. Did I say, please? So I didn't really give as much a lifestyle. I probably should have talked about casual, business casual, but I list 10 or 12 garments. But here we can see that short sleeve, convertible tops, long sleeve, airy button, and I can follow through, and it's showing me, a business casual guide, transforming dress. So the nice thing here is I can follow some of these links to work within it, the idea of knit polos, fabric structures. So this was Perplexity's idea, including things like bamboo. So, that's a nice aspect, as opposed to now let's look and see what our capsule wardrobe that is coming from our Claude suggestion. The palette before the pieces anchor everything in navy, stone, khaki, olive, white, ivory, one or two pieces in a warm mid gray. So it's giving me some of that idea, talking about unlined blazer, some tailored chinos, button, some button out shirts. So it is giving me mix and max logic, notes, but it's also not necessarily giving me the additional thoughts or resources where to go for. And then lastly, in my chat GPT, this was my capsule wardrobe collection. Let's see what chat GPT had to say. Overall strategies, silhouette goals. So it's telling me about clean vertical lines, light structure on the shoulders, soft shape at the waist, no suppression, navies. So we're seeing some similarities: name, mid-gray, olive, tobacco, cream, off-white, that aspect. 12-piece capsule. And it's giving me like a 3-star, 2-star. So under structure summer blazer, or unstructured summer blazer, a casual blazer, wool trousers, lightweight cotton trousers. So it's giving, walking me through some of those steps. That was my question proportion. I will say it's important on prompting, just to be mindful of like trying to be as direct as possible, and generating that prompt for clarity. And often, like within the context of chat GPT, it will ask at times for clarity, as it did in this one, like trying to get feedback, because know that these, especially these free models, are actually learning models, so they are trying to get feedback. I will also say one important thing, as you can see that I have a longer chat history here. You can clear out some chat history if I'm like deleting things through. The one thing I have found personally in using AI is some of the hallucinations that come from is it pays attention to your history and does learn a little bit about some of your subject that you are asking about. So there are times that I find that it might pull something in from into one of my queries without it, like I'm like, why is it including this when I didn't ask it that, because I think I had in previous sessions I had asked about. So that is one of the interesting aspects to it. Now to how we can use Chat GPT or other pieces for AI generation. So if I'm looking at things, tools to explore, like the idea of using DALL-E or Canva. So here, the irony is my paywall. I don't think I can do the image generation. This I did here, and fashion illustration request, capsule wardrobe plan. I did. Oh, okay. So here we go. So this is another aspect. I guess I should say that I can start new chats. So with Perplexity, these are the 3 chats that are here. But I can, if I wanted to add here, I can just continue asking it questions, which is what I did here. That I asked it multiple questions, but it was still in the same context. So here I asked it to create a fashion illustration for a 5'4" curvy fuller bust woman wearing a colorless Chanel style suit and skirt. And then I said show it in jewel tone, a subtle herringbone, and then a medium scale floral. And then it took a period of time to render this, but it's giving me that reference. My next step that I wanted to explore and play with is I provided it with an image, and I said, using the image I've provided, provide me with a wardrobe selection that would be appropriate for my body proportions, say spring summer 26 or warm weather capsule. So now it actually gave me, I'm asking it to look at my photo, and it, it's giving me a narrative of what to look for. So unstructured blazer, how does this look different? Lightweight undershirts, short button down 2 to 3, elevated knit polos, summer trousers, refined dark denim, summer footwear. So it's actually giving me these ideas with some color strategy. So now I'm changing the input by personalizing it to myself, but then I'm taking that one step further. I'm asking it to provide me with a fashion illustration of me in the capsule that it suggested. So here we have an AI generated image that is going to work for me utilizing this capsule that is actually, kind of quite close to my proportions. So, this is a fast and easy change, much faster than what I could render and produce, giving me an AI concept of that kind of piece. And then I then turned around and asked it to give me like a spring wardrobe inspiration. And you can see that it is actually, creating a full kind of piece. The same kind of notion here is asking it to get to work through and give me, so it's showing me this color palette. It's giving me some ideas and pulling things into the collection. So if you're using currently, when it comes to putting things together like Pinterest, you can see these aspects. If I just am typing in capsule collection, or I don't know, costume history, even let me do a costume history couture search real quickly. Here I can see pieces that may indeed be AI inspired, that fall into that collection. It's very easy to see how that influence is happening. I One other thing. So if I'm collecting things here, this is not necessarily AI related, but I am on a search, and I did have a colleague talking about Arena, which is another kind of a little bit like Pinterest, in a way, an adjacent kind of piece, which is something that I'm looking to explore more. But in particular, what Arena is really nice, it's kind of like an artist's platform that are sharing content. So it's having channels and looking at things. But in particular, I asked for fashion. One of the nice things about this Arena aspect is it is citing. So if you're wanting to see something within the context of Arena, it's not just like with Pinterest. If I'm going and saying, hey, this is interesting, where did this come from? And I go more, well, here I am able to visit the site, but that's not always true. Like, it's difficult to find things at times through Pinterest, where Arena's, like, some of their motto and philosophy is that you can take a deeper dive. And, I am very, very new to the world. In fact, just started a page, but I was starting to share one, or to work on this idea of like museum collections and pages and pieces that are existing. So like the Kyoto Institute, the V&A, the Metropolitan Museum. So you're kind of building, much like you would be pinning things, but you can create your kind of own area. And it's what's beautiful about it is it's giving you and tracking sources. So possibility for, as you're creating things. One of the other suggestions that this had was Canva. I don't know if any of you have used Canva, but Canva is kind of like, PowerPoint presentational kind of piece. But I asked Canva the same notion. Let me see if I can give. Oh, here. Just make me larger. But I asked, using Canva's AI features, that same kind of aspect to using my photo, creating things. So it's not here. It did do some image generation, but it did not. We can clearly say I did ask it to give me some color. So it's sticking within a tight color palette. And it's also one of the problems I find with AI is it's not giving me, unlike the piece that I was actually surprised with in the illustration piece, this gave me a full body illustration. I was pleasantly surprised to get some full body illustrations here, but I find that AI tends to do a lot of this cropped in kind of piece aspect. But if I were to want to create and develop a board, I can simply ask Canva to give me area to, am I wanting to create a caption, or what were my options that were here when it's saying ask Canva. So if I'm picking on piece, change style, suggest improvements. So this is creating things within that context. Go back to sorry over here. So I'm gonna just say, have some fun, do some exploration within this context of the handout that I've given you. I've given some sample prompts. That here's the one that I actually used within my structure. Make suggestions of fabrics. So that we have some various aspects to explore. All of these sources are free. You probably are going to need to log into them to make things easier. I did not log into pieces as far as spending time for that. But truly, opportunity to explore, and I look forward to seeing what all Jenny shares with you all. So I hope this is at least gives you some ideas to start with, or jumping off points to look at and play with. I did find it quite interesting to go from piece to piece to piece to see, from chat service to chat service, to see the various pieces that we got with that. So enjoy playing in the world of AI, and I'm always happy to answer questions to the best of my ability if I can.